G'day, Chris here from Always Very Spicy. Glad you could join me. This is part 4 of our series where I'm answering the question, where's the best location for you to be based for fast, efficient completion of your daily crafting writs? Parts 1, 2 and 3 we went to the original questing zones of the Alliances, the Daggerfall Covenant, Ebonheart Pact and the Aldmeri Dominion respectively. Today we go beyond that from Craiglawn through to present day content. This is the penultimate in the series as well, and so that you make sure you get to see the final, that's where we reveal the top 5 overall, please like, subscribe and notify for that plus more great ESO content. We've so much to get through today, we'd better get going right now. To be thorough, I did survey Cyrodiil. Sure, there are plenty of crafting benches and other things, but you cannot pick up or hand in writs, and the need to queue to enter is a further barrier. The Hollow City and Cold Harbour was not forgotten. I chose to include it here as the original Alliance-specific versions of Cold Harbour were removed and replaced with a singular version for all Alliances. The first thing we notice is that access to the doors leading to the alchemy, enchanting and jewellery crafting tables is restricted to those who have progressed the Hollow City quests somewhat. Moving around is easy enough and access to the other benches is not a problem. In the tavern, an NPC's pathing sometimes blocks smooth access to the cooking fire. You'll need to jump around her. The hand-in crates are on the way back to the wayshrine. You'll notice the riding trainer is also unavailable until you have progressed the Hollow City a tad. Aside from all that, many players would not have access to Cold Harbour as you really need to have progressed the original main quest line almost to the end. I begin Belkarth with a map highlighting the crate hand-ins at the top and the bank at the bottom. That's some distance. This is a massive problem for Craiglawn as a daily writ base. After your hand-in, you'll be keen to access your bank to share goodies, save items for another time and to free up space. As we see here, the guild vendors, Outlaw's Den and consumables begin well enough, all clustered near a wayshrine. The distance travelled merely for a cooking fire or recipes is not great. The bank situated in no man's land on a hill out of town? Yeah, well. The curious arrangement of the writ notice boards, as we already saw with the consumables, but the equipment too, does mean a bit of backtracking. If we factor in possible revisits to workstations to deconstruct our goodies after writ hand-in, and the hike out of town to access the bank so that we may share writ rewards with other characters or to save away for another time, or just to tittivate with storage space, and Belkarth is not daily writ friendly by any means. Welcome to Orsinium, home of the Awesomer Orcs, and a great celebration of Orc culture in Tamriel. This is the first real candidate for a writ base for your character, so not so much editing here. Hey, I'm trying to squeeze everything in under 20 minutes, but I feel obliged to give the Awesomer a decent shake. We see that tailoring and provisioning are in the same building. Unique, I think, in all of Tamriel. Close to the wayshrine, as is the bank. A little doubling back to get both Writ boards before then entering the two crafting buildings. Thankfully, alchemy, enchanting and jewellery are clustered together. Conventional. Sure, blacksmithing and woodworking are spacious and immersive for this grand city, but that's not so good for a daily Writ base. Oops, I almost missed the woodworking bench. I got distracted by a note on the floor. Like, subscribe and notify, it said, for some great ESO content. I wonder what that means. Don't forget the need to double back to the wayshrine to visit the clothier and cooking fire. Ouch! Then I ride back to the crafting area and a similar distance to turn in. For completeness, I show the riding trainer, as you'll likely do that daily task too while doing your writs. And of course the guild vendors. It's nice to see that the thieves' sewer entrance is not inconvenient. Orsinium gets the job done. Just don't tell King Kurog that you'd rather be based elsewhere. He won't take kindly to that. The Imperial City is grouped with Craiglawn and Hrothgar as part of the Year 1 of ESO. It's possible to easily craft here due to there being 3 set crafting locations. We can see here that the facilities are far from complete and the absence of Writ notice boards makes Imperial City a really poor choice. Abar's landing in Hughes Bane begins promisingly enough. Adjacent to the wayshrine is the riding trainer. We enter the city, turn left, straight up the stairs, and we're at the equipment crafting benches, complete with both Writ notice boards. We then have a ride to the end of the city square for the other crafting tables in the bank. Of course there's a place to fence your stolen items so that you can clear your bag space. Hey, this is Hughes Bane after all. But, speaking of thievery, those scallywags from the Iron Wheel went and stole all the Writ hand-in crates from the harbour, it would seem. So, that rules out Abar's Landing as a Writ base. The Gold Coast of the Dark Brotherhood is another DLC region, similar to Hughes Bane of the Thieves Guild. A player might not have access to these. In terms of writs and best locations, neither zone is suitable. Anvil and Kvatch here lack Writ notice boards, and hey, where are those jewellery crafting tables? The only reason I bother with this zone is to pick up the Blade of Woe. Vivec City obviously has that temporary outpost feel to it. It's a frontier town. Everything is open air. The riding train is nice and close to the wayshrine. The 6 guild vendors are nice and handy for emergency Writ supplies. The crafting area is just inside the front gate, and doing our writs is simply a process of grab from the board and run round in the mud. It all seems a bit chaotic and there are always players around, a good sign that this is a worthwhile crafting area. There's a ramshackle vibe, but that also means things are rather compact. There is even a thieves' den, apparently in imminent danger of flooding. The crates, as we will see, are conveniently located on a jetty, and there's a sense that it doesn't matter if you make a mistake or forget something. Having to double back won't entail a huge time penalty. The bank is double-sided and open air, and the whole lot is able to be completed on foot. A candidate for the top 5? Most definitely. To the brass fortress of the Clockwork City. You'd think it would have potential with all those banners displayed outside the main entrance. Sadly, there is not a Writ notice board within sight. Plenty of cool steampunk hisses and whirs though. Beautiful Eleanor is indeed the jewel in the heart of the Aldmeri race. Yeah. It's located in the south of their blessed isle, Somerset. You may not have access to this content, but it is deserving of a thorough review. Yeah. As we make our way past the bank on our right, and down to the riding trainer, and onwards to the Outlaw's Nook, and then the terribly long ride back towards the wayshrine. It's a chance to remind you that in deliberating whether a city is a worthwhile crafting Writ base, we must consider all factors, including realistic daily routines and the need for ancillary services such as wayshrines, riding trainers, banks and guild vendors. Oh, you would have noticed the cluster of guild vendors around the wayshrine. Only Mournhold, Windhelm, Vivec City and Rolka compare. The High Elves are truly proud of Eleanor. It's a glorious castled city with wide winding stairs with the Queen's Palace as the focus, but the city grounds are no less steeped in magnificent and luxurious architecture and materials. By the way, the next video in this series is the last, and that is where the top 5 is revealed. You must not miss it. With all of the factors ancillary to crafting Writs out of the way, we can see that Eleanor is a Writ crafter's paradise. Purely in terms of crafting benches, notice boards and Writ hand-ins, a candidate for the top 5? Without a doubt. While I have a chance, I must say that judging the top 5 has been really tough. I've even resorted to speed runs, limiting myself to dash from the wayshrine to the notice boards, then to the crafting benches, and then to the hand-in crates, and click the stopwatch. Some are separated by just a few seconds, effectively tying them. Eleanor is in that grouping. I've included Littlemoth in Murkmire for sake of completeness, and just in case people think I have a thing against lizards. You have noticed the hand-carved Komodo sitting atop my PC? Littlemoth has nothing in the way of Writ boards. It's not a total wasteland for crafters though. Very close to the wayshrines are several guild vendors, and these are often worth a look-see. They have low traffic and bargains can often be found. At first glance, you might not think that Rimmen is the cat's meow for Writ crafters, especially with that ride from the wayshrine to the boards, but take a look at this. The benches are almost on top of each other and so close to the boards, and no doors to negotiate. Perfect. Strictly speaking, with only benches and boards considered, Rimmen kills Eleanor, and that's saying something. Throw in the much closer proximity to the wayshrine and Rimmen is a clear contender for a spot in the top 5 locations for a base for crafting Writs. After the alchemy table and our crafting loot, I detoured via the guild vendors so that you can see how close they are to the crafting area. They are perfectly located for when you are halfway through crafting those maple bows or platinum necklaces for your Writ and you've run out of materials. The crate hand-ins are a short ride from the crafting area as you saw. Not as ideal as in Eleanor, but similar to Rolka if you used a stopwatch. The bank is nicely located, not too far from the hand-in crates and then not too far from the wayshrine for afterwards. The bank is where you'd logically finish after a crafting Writ session. I've thrown in the riding trainer and the Outlaw's Den too. The Outlaw's Den is particularly relevant because the Catspaw counting house has a master level chest on an extremely fast respawn timer. Who can pass up one of them? What a gorgeous view, and that triumphal zone ambient music both announce that we are back in Skyrim.
Have a passion for alchemy? Be a part of my exciting research.
There's a pattern rapidly emerging if you have not picked up upon it already. The last time we saw anything like the traditional spacing of crafting buildings were the cities of Kvatch and Anvil on the Gold Coast. The focus now is on player convenience. Solitude, however, proves that we can have that convenience without unnecessarily sacrificing immersion too much. The Skyrim we know and love from the Elder Scrolls V is alive and well in ESO's Solitude of Western Skyrim. I like how the jewellery desk is separated from the consumables. Finally, and it's even placed alongside other equipment benches. It's a nice touch to put the clothier indoors, away from the cold air. The riding trainer is out of town, but really just on the other side of the loading screen. The hand-in crates aren't too far from the crafting area, and the bank is close enough as well. I like a bit of lore, and an Elder Scrolls aesthetic and convenience for my crafting, and Solitude has that in ice shovels. Macarth has no Writ boards. The crafting area is nicely located near a wayshrine, but that's about it really.
Well?
Leyawiin continues on from Rimmen, where I've remarked before about the increasing trend clustering open-air crafting benches and tables, rather than logically grouping crafts into separate buildings within an overall medieval aesthetic. The role-playing focus has shifted away from a building for artisans to a makeshift trash and treasure car boot sale in a spare space. It's all about convenience for crafters these days, and given the focus of this series, who can argue with that? Solitude stepped back a little with a pleasant compromise, but Leyawiin returns further enhanced with everything positioned around the circumference of a very tight loop. Leyawiin screams efficiency with a short run to the crate hand-ins, then turn the corner and there's the bank. Turn around and there's the wayshrine. For the other ancillary features we need to mount up, but it's not a terrible ride to the Hidden Outlaws hatch. Yes, we do need to go out of town and through a door admittedly for the daily riding trainer, but all in all Leyawiin is a solid pick for anyone's top 5 towns to make your base for fast efficient completion of daily crafting writs, which is where we leave things for now. Next episode in this series will be the top 5. I'll be honest, the contest is very close. Nothing separates several cities. Which town will win? How will I break a tie, if at all? Be sure not to miss the dramatic conclusion to this battle of the benches, this showdown of the clustered workstations. I'd love to hear your opinions as to which town is best for you. Which city strikes a balance between convenience and pleasant ambience or immersion? Which town fits fits in with your playstyle, whether super casual like me, or min-maxed with logs and spreadsheets, or armed with an immersive and powerful backstory. This is the spicy one, Chris, signing off for now. Thank you for watching.